Hi, and welcome to a Small Medium at Large podcast. I'm your host, Gail Heisen, bringing you intimate interviews beyond normal boundaries. I want to thank all of you listeners for joining us, and I want to thank all of you subscribers for sticking by us, liking, sharing, commenting. Let me tell you a little bit about our special guest today. Jilllowy was born near Chicago, Illinois. She received her MA degree in psychology from IIT and her MS degree in divinity at Andover Newton in Boston. She was initiated into Kriya Yoga and meditation at Lotus Temple in Chicago, Illinois. Jill teaches Tai Chi and Qigong. She has been practicing and teaching Buddhist meditation for many years at Compassionate Dharma Cloud Monastery. Jill enjoys hiking in the mountains, bike riding, and playing her guitar. Jill is also the author of many books. The ABCs of Meditation, her newest book, which we'll be talking about today, 10 Ways to Create Good Karma, Practicing the Way of the Tao Te Ching, Yoga and the Art of Astral Projection. And on YouTube, you can go to Meditation and Spiritual Practices at 737 lowercase JILL. These will all be on our description, so if you can't get it right now, you'll find it there later. So let me tell you that Jill is a returning guest. She was here some time ago to speak about one of her books, and now she's back here today to talk about her newest book that just came out this December. So let's welcome Jill here today. Great to see you, Jill.
Good to see you again, Gail.
I just have to tell our listeners that after Jill was on our show, I got a chance to go to Colorado and we got to have lunch together and meet each other. So it's not just a guest on the show, it's actually also a new friend to know in Colorado.
That's
So
right.
great to see you.
That was a lovely meeting.
It was a fun time. And I have to thank Sean because he's introduced me to so many lovely people, and you were one of them.
Right, right.
So I want to talk about um, meditation and some other aspects of meditation. So, what I'd like to start with is, first of all, for our listeners who maybe have no experience about meditation, is how meditation can improve our life and how do we practice meditation? And then I have a couple more questions in regards to that. And I'm wondering if we can start off with that one, which is kind of a big question.
Sure, sure, Gail. Um, it's interesting that one of the reasons I wrote this book, because I was talking to a friend of mine a while ago, and I asked him, I said, what do you know about meditation? And he goes, well, I know all about meditation. Um, I can tell you, it's just you just sit and you just quiet your mind, gaze at your navel, and it's quite boring. And so that inspired me to write this book on the ABCs of meditation because meditation is so much more than what a lot of people think it is. And so I wanted to get the word out that there is so meditation is so unlimited in its bounds and all the different aspects of it that can really make a difference in your life. And so it inspired me to write that book anyway, just because of what he said.
Well, I want to say that I'm grateful that you wrote an ABCs of meditation book because sometimes I've been in different meditation things and I sort of get lost because I'm not sure what they're referring to. And you're describing it step by step in simple language for a person who's never been exposed to that to actually understand. So I think it was a great idea that that person made you do this.
Well, that's wonderful, Gail. Yeah, and so so I see meditation as really as an art form. It's more than just the practice of quieting your mind, which it does include that,
Hmm.
but it's a whole practice of learning how to handle stress, learning how to be more mindful in your life and everyday events. It's a practice of self discovery, which is what is so amazing about it.
Ah.
And, you know, Krishnamurti said that meditation is the beginning of self-discovery and highly recommended it, as most spiritual teachers do, and as most of the religions also all agree on that. It's really interesting. And yet so few people really do it. And so, you know, so I wanted to get something out there for so people could start and learn and begin to practice. And you don't need a guru. You don't need, something. You can just start small on your own to learn how to meditate, and it can make quite a difference in your life. It
Mhm.
can. It's so good at reducing stress, anxiety, and these are all proven health benefits that are have been done in many medical studies that
Mhm.
show that regular meditation can reduce stress, calm anxiety, improve your state of mind, increase your mood, make you help you to feel more balanced, and help you to deal with life's problems more effectively, so it doesn't upset you so much.
So you
It's
don't
re-
have high blood pressure then after.
exactly. It's excellent for reducing high blood pressure, and so it has tremendous medical benefits for improving your health, your physical health, as well as your mental health. Um,
And what would you recommend if a person was just beginning to meditate? How often a week do you think is a good start for them to begin a practice?
I would try to get into doing it every day to begin, even
Oh,
to begin with every day. Even if it's just a few minutes,
mm-hmm,
even if you just do 5 minutes to start,
mm-hmm,
and but do that every day, because it's the consistency and the diligence that's so important in meditation, because it has a cumulative effect over time. So if you're haphazard about it, then you're going to have haphazard results from it. So it's good to practice. The most important thing is practice regularly. I wouldn't recommend going in and trying to do, long time of meditation. Like try, if you're first learning and try think you're going to practice for 30 minutes to an hour, I would think that'd be too much. I think you should
mm-hmm,
limit yourself and make it easy, because you want to meditation. You want it to be something that you're going to enjoy doing. A lot of the monks that I know always advocate finding, when you practice meditation, find joy in meditation. So
mm,
you should do the practice so that it makes you feel joy and happy during the practice, because otherwise it's not sustainable.
mm-hmm,
You'll stop meditating if you don't um, try to find joy in meditation, even if you just do 5 minutes. If you bring in the intention that you want to feel some calm and some relaxation, and with it joy, that'll start getting the wheels to spin, and make a difference. So that's what I think is really important in beginning meditation.
And do you think the morning would then be the preferred time before a person starts their day to do the meditation, or more in the evening when they end their day, or does that really just depend on the person's lifestyle?
You should do whatever's most convenient for you.
Hmm.
I used to do it in the morning. I don't work
Hmm.
anymore. I'm retired.
Okay.
So I can meditate whenever I want. But I prefer to meditate in the morning and then later in the evening. I like doing it just before the sun rises and after the sun sets.
Oh,
I,
nice.
I feel that there's an attunement with um, the natural harmony of nature that helps with your meditation at those times. And the
Hmm.
world isn't so busy,
Hmm.
and so it's a little bit easier to meditate. When I did work, I used to meditate at work. I would get there early and spend time making it a practice to meditate before my workday began. So um, people sometimes have to be a little creative in terms of finding, you know, what works for them. Because look at, we have such crazy schedules these days, and people work long hours. And so whenever you can, you have to be creative in trying to find time to meditate. So, um, you
I
know,
liked your example in the book of how in the past, before you discovered meditation, you'd find yourself in a long, long line at the grocery store, and how irritating that can be. And especially when you see the line, then you just start falling into that, oh God, I'm going to be here forever. But
isn't
you turned
it?
that into a positive thing. I was wondering if you could share that little story, because I think that's a nice, simple example of a place to be able to know that you can be out in public and meditation can be extremely helpful.
Exactly, Gail. And that's a good instance. Yeah, because I used to get that way when I go to grocery stores and it'd be long lines. And so I go to the next line, and then that one would close, someone would have some coupons and it'd be
Right.
even longer. And so I would get more frustrated and go, "Oh, and so that would drive me crazy. But once I started learning to meditate, I used that as an opportunity. Um, so instead of getting upset with what was happening in my surroundings, I use that as an opportunity to do standing meditation. That's
Mhm.
what we were talking about, all the different types of meditation. One of them is standing meditation. You can be standing in line at Walmart or Kroger, wherever you shop, and and it can be a long line, and you can say, "Hey, I'm going to take this time to practice my meditation." So you just stand there and then you start focusing on your breath, noticing the air going in and out, and just letting yourself calm down and not letting the environment start to affect you. Just let it be and don't let it bother you, and just get focused on your meditation. And then that experience completely changed my shopping experience. So I would just, whenever, and this works in traffic jams too. If I'm
Mhm.
in a traffic jam and a long line and a movie line or whatever, I just quiet down and start paying attention to my breathing,
Mhm.
and tune out what's happening around me, and just enjoy myself in the present moment, instead of thinking about where I would rather be. I start to enjoy right where I am at this moment. And so meditation is a way for you to become centered in the present moment and not being carried away by your expectations for the future, um, or things that have happened in your past. It's learning
Yes.
to be in the present moment. And a lot of teachers talk about how meditation is so helpful in bringing you into the present moment and taking away from all the incessant thinking that's always
Yes.
going through our mind. And that it's just amazing.
It's so hard. The tape gets so busy recycling around in there with nonsense. I have to say, I don't want to say I feel guilty or whatever, but I've always had a hard time with the disciplinary of these things. But
Mhm.
I've had meditation. I've been exposed to meditation since I was 6 years old. So I'm 70 now. So I've had meditation in and out of my life through my almost entire life. And the most powerful thing I ever did that I always credit in my life was when I did a silent 9 day meditation with Joseph Goldstein and Sharon Salzberg in a
Nice.
group of 30 people in Hawaii. And I had cancer at the time, so it was a real powerful teaching and learning and everything. But how I felt in my body and mind and person when it was finished was the most powerful feeling I'd ever had because I talk so much. So to stop talking and really truly get into that other place was a just powerful, energetic place to be in. But then I fell back into my regular life and routines and all the things that take me in and out. And I've had different, my first teacher was Jack Cornfield, and it was in the back of a tea shop. And it was a wonderful experience. But I've always had a hard time sticking to it. And I recently, this last year, I had a guest who was a Vietnamese Buddhist monk who brings mindfulness and Buddhist teachings to prisoners in Southern California prisons. D Hong is his name. And I got invited into his meditation group once a week. So every Sunday now, I'm meditating with a group. And I
Nice.
have to say that that's inspired me to want to do more meditation again because something in the group, even though we're doing it on a Zoom and we're not like in a Zen center or feeling the energy of a whole lot of monks, uh, there's something very supportive when you're doing it also. I think both ways is good to learn how to be meditating on your own, but also if there's a group you can join once a week, that's probably a good. What do you think about that?
I think that I agree with that completely because, like you said, it can being with other people can inspire you to meditate more regularly and more often. And not only that, there's a group vibe. There's a group
Hmm.
meditation vibe that you can tune into. So experience really with experienced meditators. If you're a beginner and you can sit with an experienced meditator, you can kind of tune into that vibe and it will help you to calm your mind, quiet your mind, and come into stillness much faster than if you were by yourself and trying to do it. So, and that's where a group practice with a bunch of experienced meditators is really beneficial. Just being able to do that, I found that really all the years at the monastery where we all meditated
Hmm.
quite regularly in group meditation.
I found when I had my first, I went to a place here called Sonoma Mountain Zen Center, and it's up here in Santa Rosa in the mountain. And the Roshi there, very sweet man who's been there for many, many years. But when you walked into his dojo where all the people were meditating, the energetic level in there, you immediately could fall into the deepest state of meditation, and the thoughts were not quite as busy.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I felt like I was in a real, like a cocoon or something. I mean, it felt so good in there. So for any of our listeners who are feeling that, maybe by themselves it isn't quite happening for them, they could try going to a class and experience what it's like to be with a group of experienced meditators, and it really might, kind of assist them a little on their work towards meditating themselves and learning about meditation. So, can you talk about the breath and meditation?
Yeah, the breathing is really important because it's a natural body function and it's happening all the time. And it's one of the few functions that we have the ability to control our breath, and at the same time, it does it all for us. We don't have to breathe. Can you imagine what life would be if you had to remember to breathe? I mean, you probably wouldn't live very long. So it's nice we have the automatic function, but at the same time, we can um, make our breath longer, make our breath shorter just by focusing on it. And we have the ability to control. And there's a connection. There's an interesting connection between our breath and our thoughts, which most people aren't
Oh,
aware of. When you start to slow down the breathing, that has a connection with the thoughts in the head. That it slows that down when you slow down the breathing. It's really interesting. Sometimes just if you hold your breath, you notice that the thoughts kind of stop. And
wow. I
so
never,
then you can see kind of the connection there. If you hold your breath, it's pretty easy to stop your thoughts, and it just quite naturally kind of stops. So there's a connection there, and that's why it's important.
Mhm.
It's helpful to slow down your breathing rate, which helps you to go deeper and into meditation, slowing um, your brain wave length down so that you can go
And, and
relax.
just like the opposite, when you're having a panic attack or
Exactly.
something like that, you're not noticing it, but your breathing, I think, is becoming faster and faster or shorter, or it's not regular breathing because you're busy panicking.
Exactly. And that's why they have people breathe in a paper bag, when they're having a panic attack,
Uh-huh.
because that gets you in touch instantly with your breath because the bag is blowing up and stuff. And it helps people to calm down when they're breathing in a paper bag. But the idea is just so that you get more in touch with your breathing and not so much what's going on in your head. Because when you're in touch with your breathing, then then you can relax and calm down and not be so anxious, because most of the anxiety most of the time is due to the thoughts in your head. You
Mm-hmm.
create that most of the times when you're getting all this anxiety is because you've worked yourself up about certain thoughts going through your head. And then you've gotten upset about the thoughts that are going through your head, and then you start panicking. And it's really interesting that the way the mind works that way, and that how we can get caught into these um, entanglements of different thoughts that go through our heads and how we react to them. And that's the cool thing about meditation. Meditation helps you to learn to pause so you don't react to a negative thought that passes through your mind and get upset or anxious or depressed about a thought. It's just a thought going through your mind. And as you meditate, you learn to observe thoughts from from an observer position, so you don't get caught in with the thought. You just watch the thoughts going through your head, and you don't get involved with them. It's really interesting just watching the different thoughts and not getting entangled. And it's really funny how a thought can pull you in.
Oh,
And
I'm working on this, and I've been working with it when we discuss, because in our meditation group, then we discuss what went on in your meditation afterwards, which I think is also, it's sort of like having a group to talk to about your personal
Mhm,
experience in meditation.
right.
And for me, my issue is always that the thoughts that are coming up are all negative thoughts to myself about myself. Nobody said them to me. I'm just saying them. And then I'm sitting there and I'm coming into, oh, you're not good enough at this. You didn't do that. You're not a good person, whatever these negative things. And since I've been working on it with this meditation group about, because there's another woman, similar kind of thing, and we're focusing on that voice getting quieter and quieter and not listening to the one that's going to put you into a negative space. And it's not even coming from anywhere but inside here. It's like nobody came up to me and said, "Oh, you're a rotten person." No, I'm saying it out of nowhere. So I find that for me, that paying attention to that right now has been a really helpful change. And I'm having the voice is still there, but it's not taking over me now like it was before. I'm instead saying, "Oh, there it is. Negativity. Live in the moment."
Right.
And that living in the moment really puts your life into such a more healthy perspective. And I'm sure that a lot of illnesses we carry has to do with stuff that's crazy in our head, that's, where we're holding tension and stress and stuff in our body. And then if you do that for years and years, all of a sudden you have an ache or a pain or whatever it is that's hurting you. So I can't think of anything negative about meditation. And I wanted to ask you, I want to talk about meditation and psychic ability. But
Okay.
before I go to that, I have to make one joke, which is I find that it's very hysterical. I don't know if you have any info in this, but how come all these meditation teachers, I mean, the most famous ones I know, Jack Cornfield, Joseph Goldstein, they're all Jews. And I want to know, is there something where the Jews got attracted to becoming meditation teachers, or what is this about?
I don't know.
So that's just my sort of like, okay, wait.
It
And
could
then
be just your own
I
karma, Gail. I
I
mean,
don't know.
because there's so many different popular meditation teachers of all different persuasions,
Yeah.
from Christian meditation teachers like Thomas Keating and um, uh, geez, all of it. So Matthew Fox, David Steindl-Rast,
I have had the
Thomas
pleasure.
Fox, all those folks.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of being with, like Sogyal Rinpoche and Thich Nhat Hanh, attending
Right,
retreats or things
right,
like this. But
right.
I meant with this other kind of group that seemed to have happened, and I don't know if they all met in the 60s or anyhow, I just thought it was kind of funny. So,
But speaking of, before you start, speaking of Thich Nhat Hanh,
yes.
one of the teachers I was affiliated with also at the Buddhist monastery that was a Compassionate Dharma Cloud Monastery. And Thich Nhat Hanh was at that monastery before the monastery grew into what it is now. He visited there in here in Colorado and went to that monastery and blessed it, saying that he saw that a big monastery would be established there, and it's a big monastery now. So his intuition, his insight came into fruition, and it's one of the traditions that I've studied on for over a decade, and has brought me great peace and joy in life.
I only saw him once, but I read some of his books and I found him very inspirational, and his energy was just absolutely, I don't know, very pure and it was in a big church in San Francisco when I'd seen him, so it was a lot of people. But
Mhm.
I went because my son's uh, preschool, he was an assistant at my son's preschool, this young man who was from France. And after he finished, 2 or 3 years of working at the preschool, he went back to France and he wrote to us and he moved into Plum Village, which I read about in your book.
Mhm.
And I didn't know that this was, I think, a Thich Nhat Hanh. Did he have something to do with Plum Village? I wasn't sure what
He did.
you
He's the
could tell
founder.
us. Yeah, could you tell us a little about Plum Village since you've been there and what you think of that place? It always sounded like an amazing place he was going to, but I never knew anyone else who went there but you.
Yeah, it's funny how I ran into the whole lineage. One day I was driving. I had read a bunch like you. I had read a bunch of books by Thich Nhat Hanh. I was very inspired from him, and I was wondering where I could go and in person learn about some of the meditation practices and group practices. And one day I was driving down Highway 285 on my way to Conifer, and on the right hand side of the road I saw a statue of Kuan Yin, a huge, we're talking 70-foot statue of
Oh,
Kuan Yin.
wow.
And I'm saying, wow, what is that? And so I got to go check that out. So I drove into where the statue was, and it was a small monastery at the time, but it was Thich Nhat Hanh's lineage there. And
Oh,
it was just a random chance that you know, and then then I started studying there many years. And
well, I don't believe it was a coincidence. I believe you were
that's
guided
what I'm
there.
saying. That's what I'm saying, but that's how things can work,
hmm
that the way the universe guides us sometimes when you're looking for something and it says, this is where it is,
And
it's
you never
really
know
neat.
what, yeah, and sometimes you have an obstacle and you think about the obstacle, and then once you're over, you say, oh, if that obstacle didn't happen, I never would have been in this place or met that
Mhm.
person.
Right.
So that would bring me to, I'm very curious about how does meditation help to develop psychic ability and whether you had any experience with that.
Well, as you know, I have a lot of experience with that, but, especially as you know, studying with Sean
Sean
all these
McNamara.
years. Yeah, Sean McNamara.
hmm
And he was in one of the chapters of my book I wrote about Meditation X. And that's his book, actually, Meditation X. Sean McNamara wrote that book.
Uh-huh.
And, but he used to teach at a place called Mayu Institute, which has since closed. But he taught meditation for many years, and I would sit with him in meditation there. And then all of a sudden, he started well, at this time when I was going, he was doing psychokinesis. And so I met him and got involved taking some classes in psychokinesis because he was so good at it. If you look at some of Sean's videos, it's amazing how well um, he can do that. And he was really good at teaching other people how to do it. And so after I met him, I became very involved with practice, doing psychic development,
hmm
and he was also a meditation teacher. So he also practiced both of them quite extensively, and so anyway, I have found, and so has Sean found, that meditation is really helpful in terms of developing psychic ability because
Hmm.
it helps to focus the mind, for one thing. When you're doing certain types of psychobility, like psychokinesis, telekinesis, you have to be able to focus um, to be able to get the wheel to spin or to have that
I
ability.
just I've just learned psychokinesis in
Oh,
this
did
last
you?
year, yes.
Okay.
And I'm doing it for a physicist who asked me to do this, but I didn't think I could do it. And then I finally somehow figured it out
You
after
should read John's book.
I should have. I didn't even think about it. And, like you can't see it, but it's back there, a large glass bell jar with, and I find it very satisfying to see that something can react to your energy. I'm not sure though what's going on. I don't,
Right. And neither does anybody else.
right, okay. I didn't know if you knew the answer.
Nobody knows the answer. They have theories. There's theories what might be happening, but there's nothing conclusive as to what's happening. They just know that you can have the intention to make the the foil which you have in your background that we practice with. You can have the intention to make it move, and it will move. And meditation helps you with focus in terms of the intention and the intention of making it to move. That you need to be able to focus to be able to do that. Meditation is helpful to do that. So it's helpful in the practice of telekinesis. And so I found it very helpful.
I want to say that I think that's verified because when I do my Sunday meditation with Dee Hung and the other people in the group, I decided to test my telekinesis afterwards.
Uh-huh.
I'd have no issue. I can get the paper moving in less than a minute of focus. But trying to do what they want me to do is not to use my hands. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like my hands are the tool that's making it happen, even though they're at a distance. And they're
Mm-hmm.
telling me, no, it's not your hands. You should just be able to do it just sitting there. So I've been working on getting the paper to move while I'm a couple feet away from it. But I've only been able to do it like when I'm 2 or 3 feet away. I haven't been able to go like further back yet, but I'm working on it and I'll give you results next time.
Okay. Yeah, Sean would have us stand a few feet away and practice doing it and watching it move. And then when we got proficient at that, we would go in the other room.
That's what they want me to do. So that is possible then.
Yes, it is possible.
Oh,
It is
so
possible.
okay. I didn't know if it was really possible.
It's amazing how that can happen. I had many times, and I've done many different training programs and classes in it. I remember once I had this engineer that was in the class, and he didn't think it was possible,
Excuse me.
but he was open enough that he wanted to check it out to see, if it was just a bunch of hooey fooey. And he was sitting right next to me and doing the practice. He the foil started to move, and he goes, "I can't believe this. I'm seeing this happen, and I don't understand how it can be happening." It was so funny.
Do you know what I did also is I've been at first when I was doing it, I thought I had to do it alone, that I couldn't do it in front of another person.
Mhm.
Then I started to realize I can do it in front of other people.
Right.
And then I started having people jump in.
Mhm.
So I started with children that were coming to visit. And I had some children who I just say, well, can you do what Auntie Gail does here or whatever? And they
Mhm.
go right up and the paper would start moving.
I know it's so easy for some people.
Yes, it's very, very interesting. And then some children, nothing would happen.
Right. And if you try to make it move, to
Uh,
kind of force it, that never works.
no, no. You have to
Never
be more
works.
light and happy and kind of free.
Yeah.
So what types of meditation are helpful for psychic ability?
Well, the one, like I said, for focusing, any meditation that helps you to focus in terms of if you're focusing on your breath as a meditation,
Hmm.
when you're focusing on your breath, or if you're focusing on a mantra, that's also a way of focusing your mind on something to anchor your mind that your mind can focus on so it doesn't get caught up in all the thoughts going through your head. Something is very helpful for that. And so having an anchor, either your breathing or a
Hmm.
mantra
Mantra.
or a visualization of some kind is can be helpful. And those are all helpful for, and especially what I find really helpful for remote viewing, which you do quite well. And
Hmm.
so one of the things that I find really helpful is in remote viewing is the ability to clear your mind. So meditation is really helpful in helping you to let go of all the fluff and all the thoughts going in your head. And once you can do that, at least for me, when I'm remote viewing, it helps me to discern between the noise and the actual, to be sensitive to the psychic impressions versus just thoughts that are going through my head. And so
Hmm.
meditation can be very helpful in that, in terms so that you can slow down, calm your mind, and be open to those psychic impressions and discern them from what your normal thought processes are, the normal
Hmm.
thoughts that are going through your head that are not what the remote viewing is. So I find that really helpful. Just doing kind of a awareness meditation where you just sit and let yourself become calm and don't pay any attention. Just observe the thoughts going through your head until the thoughts start to slow down. And then there's an empty space that happens.
Hmm.
And then it can be really helpful at that point when your mind is more empty, more clear, more clarity. Then you can tune into the psychic impressions from whatever you're remote viewing.
There's actual research that Dean Radin did at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, where they had groups of meditators
Oh,
and then
interesting.
groups of non-meditators, and the groups of meditators had much better abilities at doing the task that was asked than the ones, I think it was meditators and also like artists and musicians.
Mm,
And I think those are all three areas where people are focusing intently. And
right.
yeah.
Yeah, and they've done research. Just the other day, I saw an upload on with Jeffrey Mishlove,
Hmm.
his Thinking Aloud channel. He had Serena Dougal on. I don't know if you've ever seen her, but
No.
she's a parapsychologist too, and she was doing research with Tibetan monks in Tibet at at the approval of the Dalai Lama to do um, how meditation is helpful for psychic ability. So she was doing this was ages ago that she was doing that when she was one of the few women who were allowed to go into the monasteries and to monitor and work with the monks in terms of um, their meditation and
Fascinating.
psychic abilities, because Tibetan Buddhism as well is so established in terms of utilizing psychic ability in their meditation. And in many traditions, there's the practice of the six yogas of Naropa, which is it's an all psychic practice of different ones, from Tumo, learning how to control your inner heat and be able to at will raise your body heat. In the mountains you see,
Melting
um,
snow.
yes, they put on wet blankets and they go out in sub-zero weather and they dry off the the blankets while in meditation, because they can increase their body heat to stay warm, that the normal person would freeze and die. But they know a meditation technique that increases the inner heat of the body, and they practice that. And that's a psychic practice.
Hmm.
And it's when they become very proficient at. And that's just one level. They have a whole variety of different psychic practices that they do. Um,
That's what I was wondering about with the Tibetans, because when I was with that Sogyal Rinpoche retreat, it was a 3 or 4 days in the Berkeley area, and it was a lot of people, about 400 people attended it. And there were all these other things going on that I'd never seen at any other meditation or retreat place that I'd gone to.
Oh,
And someone
interesting.
kept saying to me, "Oh, it's because it's Tibetan. Oh, it's
Right.
because it's Tibetan." So there were all these other colorful things and other stuff going on. And I always get the feeling that if you were to speak to someone of that, of, remote viewing or these kind of things that are considered some kind of a ability to do this or training, to them that isn't that. To them that's normal.
It is. Right.
And that they don't have to train. It's all part of their level of, so to them it's like, I don't need to do that. I do that already. Or
Right, right. In their meditation practice, those are the psychic abilities that happen are sometimes some of the signs of their progress in meditation.
hmm
So, masters, some of the Tibetan masters, like they have their telepathy is so developed, they can tell what their students are thinking. And if they're following through with the meditation practices, it's
I
quite
can
amazing.
I can tell you that not only can I tell you how true that is, I experienced it.
Oh, did you?
Yes, and it blew my mind. I'll keep back on how much
Exactly.
it blew my mind, but I'm there the first day of the retreat with Sogyal Rinpoche, and he was the one that wrote the book. Was it The Tibetan Art of Living and Dying? It was the
Correct, correct, right.
right. And the first day, he's having a hard time saying his talk because he keeps coughing and has the flu. So he's coughing and he's coughing. And when I leave that day, I'm so blown away by the teaching and him and the play, the thing, that I tell my friend, the one who ended up going to Plum Village, who took me to this, and I say to him, "So I don't understand. What do you do? Like, do you fill out an application and say, 'I'd like to be your student. Here's my name and my email?' Or I said, 'I don't understand how you apply for this.'" And then I said to him, "And I really wish I could do something to take away his cold because he needs to speak to these people." So I come back the next day after I've told him all this at the end of our full day of meditation, retreat, talk, whatever. And we're coming back for the next session. And I'm sitting on the floor, which I can't do now, but then I could. And I'm sitting on the floor right in front of him. And he starts to cough like he was in the other class. And all of a sudden, the coughing stops and I start coughing. And I'm coughing and I'm coughing. And he just puts his hands out. And I'm thinking to myself, how did he know this? He puts his hands towards me and he says, "Thank you. Now you are my student."
Wow.
So I'd asked him, "How could I be your student?" But not him, but into the, and he answered. So I knew there'd been some type of telepathic communication that went on
Right,
there. I can't deny it. I mean, it was a
right,
bizarre thing. And the rest of the 3 days, he never coughed anymore, and he was completely fine. So I don't know what happened, but something happened there.
right, right. So yeah, it is fascinating how they use that as signs along the path.
Yeah, I have to believe that he read my thoughts. I can't think, why would you say that in front of 400 people? Pick me out of no one and say that. Because I'd been walking around asking it the whole night before. Anyway,
It's kind of
how
disturbing sometimes.
I'm glad I had good thoughts.
Exactly.
How come, how come some teachers, some meditation teachers or teachers, do not recommend using meditation to develop psychic ability? Are there some that feel that that's not a good thing, or?
Yes, they definitely some feel it some feel that meditation, if you're practicing meditation for liberation, for self-realization, for enlightenment, if you're doing it for those reasons, then a lot of them are recommend not practice doing psychic practices because they feel it's taking you away from the goal,
Mhm.
which is self-realization. And but I don't always agree. I don't agree with that. I think you can still practice because even when the Tibetans are doing it, they're doing they're having different psychic experiences while they're on the path towards self-realization or enlightenment or fulfillment or being happy. And so I think you can integrate. I think the danger that they're more concerned about is developing a big ego. And we
Oh,
see this all around us. People get really good at a certain with a certain psychic ability. Um,
the Uri Geller type thing.
yes,
They
they get
become
a
like a prima
tremendous,
donna.
yes, exactly. So, practice doing psychic doesn't make you a better person at all. That has nothing
Hmm.
to do with developing yourself in terms of um, ethically.
Hmm.
Um, so that's what a lot of the teachers are concerned with is that you'll develop a big ego and cause a lot of problems, and actually, you could end up hurting other people.
Hmm.
Um, just like you had one viewer a couple of weeks ago, and I forgot his name, but I saw the podcast, and he's talking about how aliens could use psychic abilities to hurt other people. And so
Hmm.
there's always that possibility, and that would be a negative side of developing
Hmm.
psychic abilities if you used it to hurt other people, harm other people. And so that would just cause a lot of damage to them. And it always comes back to you. So you end up just hurting yourself. And so those are the two dangers that people have to watch for, and so
Hmm.
that they don't use that it doesn't blow up their ego and go to their head. So I'm so great. I can
Right.
I
I
can
can do
read
anything.
minds, and I can um,
And I would like $500 for you to sit with me.
exactly.
And that really always gets to me.
Of course, yes, yes.
So,
One thing I wanted to say before
yes.
too is I found that meditation is really helpful for out of body experience, sometimes called astral projection.
Hmm.
I wrote a book about it because that's how I learned how to have an out of body experience and to astral project to different planes of reality is through practicing a meditation technique that enabled me to have that experience and to experience what it's like to leave my body. Now, not everybody has to do that, but I found meditation a really effective way to do it. Some people do it, use different kinds of meditation, even though they don't call it that. They'll use a visualization to
Hmm.
help them project or some other things. But I find that meditation is a very helpful practice to having an out of body experience and to expand your consciousness to other levels of reality. And so,
I want to verify that also and tell you
okay.
in your book, you wrote, you were talking about mantras being also one of the ways of
Mhm.
meditation, that it can be
Right.
silence or you can have a mantra.
Correct.
And, excuse me, um, when I was initiated as a Mongolian Buryat shaman and we had no translator, I never knew what was going to be next, and everything was telepathic. And that's how we did the entire week of preparation and then the 7 or 8 hour ceremony. Well, during the ceremony, at the point where then you've been, like everything's been sort of burned out of your space, and you're now coming into the space of the shamanic, and they put on your shamanic clothing. Then she had me saying uh, a Buddhist chant, Om Mani Padme Hum. Is that how you say
Mhm.
it?
Correct.
And I should be able to tell you that, but I had to say it over and over and over again till exactly what you're saying happened. I had not only out of body, but I was in a complete altered state,
Mhm.
just like if I'd have taken a psychedelic drug or something. And there was
Right.
no drug taken.
Right.
There was only the repetition of this words that I actually didn't know what they mean until I'm reading your book. And because she has wonderful definitions for everything in there that you might not have known what they meant.
Right.
And uh, and my son came by and said, I saw you, Ma, and I knew that you were in an altered state. He said, because it was 100 degrees out that day, and you were wearing all those animal furs and clothing and chanting. And I looked at you, and you didn't even look like you were hot.
Um,
And I know you can't take the heat, he said.
Yeah,
So,
that's
and it was double assurance that I was truly in an altered state. But it just came from a repeated chanting. And I have to say, sometimes I don't understand. Like when I was in a Ram Dass retreat,
Mhm.
or it was Stephen and Andrea Levine, I don't remember, but these were like 6-day retreats
Sure.
up in Oregon. We'd be reciting these chants, and the next morning it's like I couldn't remember it. I'd said it 100,000 times, and I wake up and say, "What was it that we said?" You know,
You blissed out.
I really did. So I was wondering, there's a couple things I wanted to ask you about because your book shares so many different possibilities of meditations. And I love the one that was dealing with the elements, that there was a meditation for fire, a meditation for water, a meditation for air, a meditation for earth. And I was wondering if you could share a little bit about, and even if you want to read the meditation, it's up to you. I'm not saying for us to do it, but just that our audience could know about the water meditation and our connection with this. I thought that was really beautifully said.
Yeah, I thought you would enjoy that being a shaman because
Hmm.
shamans work with the elements, earth, air, fire, water, and spirit.
Yes.
And meditation works with those elements also.
I never heard of that. So I,
Yes, yes. The Buddha talks about it in the Sati Sutra, and so does very a lot of different in Patanjali, and talks about the elements. Anyway, there are different meditations that I highly recommend doing, going out in nature and sitting either in a forest and just which would be practicing the earth element, going out into the forest and sitting in the middle of the forest and just quieting your mind and paying attention. It's I get so high when I do this, and I just sit and I just quiet my mind and I listen to all the sounds that are going on in the forest, and then you feel the little breeze that goes over your body, and you're letting yourself quiet, sitting on the earth and feeling the earth, that the support of the earth, and the the nurture of the earth element. And you can get in touch with that element by doing a simple practice like that, taking time when you're in a natural setting like that in a forest, where you can get in tune with the harmony of the earth. And so that's a really great practice. And the one with the water, when that you were saying, you can go sit by a pond or a stream, listening to the stream run by and just letting the sound take away from all your thoughts and all your whatever problems you might be going, and just sit with the sound of the water and the babbling brook, and let that soothe your soul. And so you can get in tune with those nature spirits
Mhm.
by taking time just to listen to them and feel the energy within you. You can bring one of the practices that I talk about is to bring that energy, the earth energy or the water energy, and bring it into your body through the pores of your skin, through your imagination, and you fill your body with the different types of energy. And so you can feel them. You can feel what it's like to fill up your body with the earth element, and to feel that heaviness, that solidness, that nurturing quality as you practice the techniques that I show in the book in terms of um, becoming in harmony with the elements. And I think it's a natural for a shaman. I mean,
I-
that's kind of what
it's
they do.
I just saying it was a great, I loved reading that. Something just came up to me that isn't in my questions,
Uh-huh.
which was how meditation and breathing will help you when you're dealing with death of a person, or if you're sitting there with a dying person. If you've got a good solid meditative breathing practice, you can breathe the levels of the person that's dying because their breath is changing to a shallower, more slower breath, Well, if you've been practicing that in your meditation,
Mhm.
you'd be able to just, because I find if you put your hand on the chest or the heart or something of the person who's in the dying state and breathe with them, you have such a deep connection. And so I think if you have a strong meditation practice, you'll be very strong in being able to connect with those people that you might be sitting by that are close family members you'll be losing.
Yeah, that's very good, Gail. That's excellent. That brings to mind the shared death experience that Raymond Moody talks about in Life After Life, when
Oh, I
people
hadn't.
when people are at the bedside of a dying loved ones, and as they might have as they start entering the dying process, the person who get becomes really in tune, just quite naturally goes kind of experiences what it's like that the experience that they're having as they're dying, and they there's like they talk about a change of dimension, and they like experience what the dying person is going through, and maybe there's a review of the
Hmm.
life's actions that they may participate in. Raymond talks about this in his book Life After Life, that I would highly recommend, that where people do just naturally, and maybe many times they do it, they might get in tune through their breathing or
Hmm.
just their natural state of being, where they're able to do that and for a time be with the person while they're going through that process.
And it's sort
I've
of a,
never experienced it, so I don't know, but
oh,
many people have, and Raymond shares that in his book.
well, it's kind of a two-way thing because when I've experienced it, I feel like I'm holding their hand going with them to the edge. And
Okay.
then they're going to have to go to the next place, and I'm going to have to come back to my body
Mhm.
or, be here in the flesh or, on the earth.
So you felt yourself rise out of your body with them?
Oh, and traveling, like assist. I feel like it's like an assist. I call it an
Mhm.
assist. And
Right.
I don't ask or necessarily do it consciously. It just comes in my dream or it just comes to me from the person and I just I don't know why they pick me to go with them, but I just go
Sure.
with the plan.
Right.
And um I found that the one where if I'm with the person and they're getting close to dying, I found what's comforted me and whatever is this following the breath with them, like you're talking about. It
Okay.
just feels like a wonderful connection.
Mhm.
But then I'm also seeing that it's also like a teaching because the person who's dying that's going to the edge is showing you a bit of something that's going to be in your future when you
All
have
our
that
future.
experience.
All
Yeah.
our future.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's like a two-way teaching for
Mhm.
both ways.
Right.
So uh let me see how I'm doing here. We're almost at an hour, but I have a few more questions here.
Okay.
And I was wondering, this is totally separate, but I really loved and I would wondered if you have a few minutes, if you could explain this word that we hear often when we sit and meditate. They all talk about impermanence. Could you tell our listeners what does impermanence mean?
It's a Buddhist and Hindu term that talks about the nature of a reality, how everything changes around us constantly. And if the
Hmm.
universe is like that, our world is like that. Everything around it is constantly changing. And it's not only the world around us that is constantly changing. You know, the people come and go, our lives change, we grow old, and our bodies are constantly changing. Our skin cells, every 7 years, we go through all new cells in our body, and we're basically a new person after 7 years. And so this change is always happening all around us and also within us. And that is one of the things of meditation is observing. When you're observing the thoughts, constant thoughts coming and going in the mind, and so you get an understanding of the impermanence of thoughts, and that they're not a fixed reality. They come and go in your mind, and you don't have to believe them. as you know, when they're telling you negative things, you don't have to believe what those thoughts are telling you, because that's when the pain and suffering comes in, when you buy into their story,
Hmm.
and which kind of enlivens them a little bit, because thoughts have a little life of their own. And when you put energy into them, whether it's aversion or attraction, both ways put energy into thoughts. So the
Hmm.
best thing is to do is to be neutral with them and to let them come and go. So if you get a negative thought and say, oh my God, it's a negative thought. Oh no, no. You just let it come, and then you let it go. And you don't get hooked into it. You don't get attached to it. You just observe it, and then it has no control over you. And then the thought that says you know, that you don't have the ability to do this or that, or you're a bad person, or that,
Well, you could share the story I read in your book that I thought was an excellent example of this. And I wasn't sure how it was going to come out in the end. And then it came out with a good ending, which was you were expecting to go to a meditation and sit in a chair because you were. So if you could just share that story.
That's a good one. And it was very profound for me. And it was one of the longest meditations. It was a Vipassana meditation,
Hmm.
which is a Buddhist practice. There's two major meditation practice in Buddhism. There's shamatha, which is watching the breath. It's a beginning meditation. And then there's Vipassana. And Vipassana does a combination of observing the energy flow in the body and the sensations in the body. And also in the beginning of a Vipassana retreat, you're doing shamatha, just watching the breath. If you can imagine for hours on end, watching the air going through your nose in meditation all day long. But anyway, it was interesting. This was at the Southwest Vipassana Center in near Dallas, Texas, that I was attending, and I was going with some friends. And at the time, I had been meditating in a lot of chair because I was having back issues,
Hmm.
and so I wasn't sitting on the floor because of that. And my friends told me that, oh, you can sit in a chair there, no problem. I said, great. So I'll go. And it's a 10-day long meditation. So it's a long one. And so I'm there signing in at the meditation center. And the first thing they asked me for my keys and my cell phone. And I'm thinking, well, this is strange. I've never been to a meditation retreat where they've asked me for my keys and my cell phone. And so I said, okay. And so they said, don't worry, we'll put them in a locked area. No one's going to take them, and they'll be waiting for you when you come back. So, and I said, oh, that's strange that they do that. So, but I just went ahead with it and gave it to them, and got started with the retreat. And for the first day, everybody's at the meditation hall. Men are on one side, women are on the other, and they're telling us what's expected and the meditations we'll be doing. And we also get a counselor assigned to us. And so I spoke with the counselor, and I said that my friend said that I could use a chair, and the counselor goes, well, do you have a doctor's excuse? And I go, what? And I'm going, I didn't know I needed a doctor's excuse. I mean, I'm here voluntarily. This is not a mandatory retreat. And so, and I said, no, I don't. She said, well, I would like you to try sitting on the ground in lotus position first before um, we let you try sitting in a chair. And I said, okay. But and I told her about my back problems and stuff. And that's when she asked me if I had a doctor's excuse. And so, anyway, I began the program sitting um, in full-legged position on the floor. And the first day was like so terrible, so ferocious. I mean, I was in such pain because we're meditating for 10 hours a day, and we're only stopping for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh.
So we are putting in a lot of time sitting in meditation, and um, and I was in absolute agony, and such pain. And I was crying by the end of the day. I was in such pain.
Oh.
And then the next day came, I said, okay, I'm going to give it another day to see if it gets better. And it didn't. It got worse. And, I again crying again another night, sitting in the shower, just, oh, just so happy to be done with it. And I'm saying to myself, how the hell am I going to get through this retreat? I came here for bliss and deep meditation. And here I am. I'm just suffering in agony and pain. And it was the worst excruciating pain I've ever been in. And so I was checked in to see my counselor again. And I told her my conundrum, and she said, just do it one more day. I said, okay, I'll give it one more day. And on the third day, when I was meditating and in such pain, I'm sitting there in such pain, knives, like knives poking in my legs, kind of pain, stabbing pain that are going, lightning. It's amazing the visualizations I was getting from being in that kind of pain. And then all of a sudden, I just said to myself, I'm just going to let go, and whatever happens, happens. I mean, she told me that nobody ever died. That's what she told me. And so I continued, and I just let myself go and just eased and just leaned right into the pain and just accepted it all. And I would say within 20 minutes, all of a sudden, every ounce of pain disappeared. It just vanished. And
Fantastic.
to this day, I could not explain how that happened. I was no longer in feeling any pain whatsoever. It just completely vanished. And I was fine for the rest of the retreat after that. But it's like I had to go through this intense hell um, before and it was such a revelation. When the pain went away, I'm in ecstasy because I feel liberated. The
Yes.
pain is gone, and I'm like in my own little ecstasy world, not believing that the pain had completely disappeared. So that can happen, and
So that was a teaching. That
that
was a
was a
double
teaching for
teaching.
me, teaching about how to deal with pain.
Yes. I'm just no, because I'm trying to deal with different, because as we're aging, there's all different pains and things that are, and some of
Sure.
the times I say to myself, is there just a way I can just separate from the ache or the pain and just say, well, yep, there's a pain there, but I'm still gonna walk even though I'm
Right.
feeling that pain. And
Right.
I'm trying this more different attitude, and I've been in less pain and walking better.
Right.
And when I was succumbing to the oh no, I can't go out with you today because I'm in too much pain. I got to just stay home. I can't, la la la. I stopped traveling for a while. I mean, I
Mhm.
was limiting myself on anything I was doing because of the pain. And
Right.
then finally, I just said, I don't care anymore.
Right.
I
Right.
can't live like this. I'm just
Right.
gonna, and I don't want to hex myself, but so far things have been a lot less painful. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, it's acceptance.
Yeah,
Acceptance.
and not fighting my
And
body.
not fighting it because I stopped fighting it. The same thing. Yeah, it is accepting that. And that's one of the paths in meditation is to be able to accept what's going on with things in your life and in your mind in meditation and not fight against it. It's always um, um, that famous Eckhart Tolle
Yes.
says, what you resist persists. And so he is really a strong advocate on coming to acceptance with whatever's going on and becoming in the present moment, because once you're in the present moment, you are in a state of acceptance. Because to be in the
Mhm.
present moment, you're not paying attention to things you don't like or um, things you're accepting the way that they are, accepting reality the way it is, that it's presenting to you, and you're not fighting against it. Whatever's happening is happening, and you just accept it. And when you accept that, it's like a liberation. There's
Hmm.
that all that resistance and pain and struggle and suffering
And
um,
reaction,
and
you know,
reaction.
reaction.
Correct.
So I wanted to ask you, there was this other thing I read about, and I was wondering if you could either say the ritual or explain it. And I'm winding us down now. So this is my
Okay.
last kind of big question here. Um, you wrote in your book about a ritual that you do in the shower. And I thought to myself, if somebody's listening to this show and maybe they're reluctant to want to try meditating or don't feel like sitting down right now or whatever, there's something that you called shower meditation. And that might be a good start for some people who can't find the time alone, or maybe they have children at home, they're busy. Maybe the shower was a good place to start because you're going to always do that.
It is. And you have to clean ourselves every day.
Yes. So
Yeah.
could you share, instead of me telling them, could you share? I don't
Sure.
want to say what I read in your book, but if you could share the shower ritual and then we can wind down after that.
Okay. So it's a ritual that anyone and everyone can do. It's a normal life task and experience that we all do every day.
Mhm.
And that's one of the practices that monks do, like at a Buddhist retreat, where they turn everyday life tasks into the practice. So, this is
Uh-huh.
one of the ways shower meditation is turning an everyday life task into a meditation practice. And so, one of the ways to do that is when you're taking your shower. Most people, when they're taking a shower, is the chatting is going on in their minds. There many times people take it and they don't even know that they've taken a shower, or they hardly enjoyed it, and they're just chatting away in their minds of what they might do today, what that person, somebody said to them, and they're going over past memories, or what they planned, what making plans, and they're not paying any attention to this lovely, beautiful shower experience with the water element that they're having. And so the practice is when you begin a shower, is to tune in to exactly all the sensations that are happening, not to be thinking about what you're going to do the day or what's gone on the past, but be with that experience, because a shower is a very blissful, beautiful experience, and it feels so good. And so when you're taking your shower, take time to feel the sensations, the water as it's beating on the head, and the feelings and the sensation that it's causing in your body that you hardly ever pay attention to. And you're missing out on such a beautiful experience. Take time to feel the water streaming on your body and the effect that it has, the cleansing, the purifying that it does to your body and mind as the water is splaying over the body and causing all the titillations and feeling all those sensations, those wonderful feelings of the shower, and take time to really enjoy the shower or your bath, either one, and soaking and enjoying, just having that water, the warm water, wash over you, and letting go of any negative feelings you're having. You can let that go in the water and let that water just take it away from you. And it goes for a deeper purification ritual that you can do to prepare yourself for the day. And also, when you're done with the shower, most people hurry to dry off and get. When you're done with the shower, just stand, or the tub, just stand or sit and just feel what the sensations are in the body. Feel your
Mm.
breathing, because that's the time everything's quiet. Then the shower's off, and you're just standing, and feel as the water begins to evaporate. It's an interesting feeling off your body as it starts to cool down, and just feel all those different sensations that are happening while you're paying attention to your breath and doing, and why until just do that for 5 minutes, and then dry off and begin your day refreshed anew and ready to face the day with a fresh mind instead of, you know, it's a beautiful purifying ritual.
And I was thinking, for me, what I like to add to it, because I've been doing something like this, but then when I
Uh-huh.
read it in your book, I said, oh, wait, I can add to this,
Right,
is instead of taking the shower and being naked and judging my body or us judging our bodies, instead, when I'm taking my shower now, I'm trying to send love to my body, and that and trying to learn that I have to have respect and love for this little temple that's carrying me around all these years.
right,
And when you're young and you're in great shape, you don't think about these things. And then as the body is changing and you're getting older, instead of feeling like, ugh, this is hanging and this is sagging and this skin looks like that, I'm trying to say, oh no, this is a beautiful arm, this is a beautiful leg. I'm
right.
I'm happy to have this. I'm trying to give love to this body that I haven't really done that before like I should have.
Nice.
So I feel like the shower is the perfect place to do that. And I
Perfect.
feel it is helping me to be more positive and less judgmental of myself.
Right. To be very accepting of, again, it's accepting your own body and everything around you just
Hmm.
as it is. And this is something that we are all going through as we get
Yes.
older, as
As
we are elders now.
yes, losing our eyesight, our hearing, our memory of the name of somebody. I just have to laugh at it now. That's my new attitude.
I
I can't
like it.
remember the name. I'm just laughing and saying, well, it's going to come back probably 20 minutes later, but it will show up.
I love it. I'm with you.
So what I'd like to do now is and you've answered all my questions on my list. I even threw in that extra one I didn't even know about that was going to come up about death. And I wonder, here is where I always ask my guests now what I call the words of wisdom. Whatever it is that you would like to share, and however long it takes you, a minute, 10 minutes, whatever you want, but whatever you'd like to impart as your last sharing with our audience.
Well, two things. First, I want to share that the Dalai Lama has said that we can completely change our society by teaching children to
Mhm.
meditate at a younger age while they're in school. We could completely change the ethics of our society, the peace in our society by um, by teaching our children to meditate. And that's
Mhm.
something that as adults we can do with our children. We can help teach them to meditate and ourselves, and which will help to bring peace into the world. It, it, it can have such a profound effect. And at the end of my book, I share what the Dalai Lama had to say about that. But meditation can have such a profound impact on your life and your friends and your world. And so take time to learn the art of meditation. Take time to learn about yourself and rediscover yourself and learn how to find peace, love, and understanding and wisdom. And I just want to say that a shout
Beautiful.
out to Sean McNamara and Wendy Gallant are going to be holding a retreat. Since we did talk about psychic, they're going to be holding a psychic retreat in Estes Park, September 12th through September 19th.
Wow.
It's going to be a great, I don't know if you know Wendy Gallant.
No.
She was the one who did Seeing Without Eyes, where
Oh.
they taught people how to see images and um, shapes and colors with their eyes closed, psychically,
Uh-huh.
telepathically. So they're going to be doing that. So if you ever have an interest, I went to the last retreat last year. So I would, and it was a really great retreat. So I'm just, for your viewers, I just wanted to put that out there that they're going to be holding that, and that you could go to Sean McNamara's website at mindpossible.com and check into it.
So that's MINDPOSSIBLE.com.
Correct. Correct.
And then you'll see Sean's list. I know he also offers meditation classes, I've
He
just
does.
seen.
He does.
So that's a place where if someone can't go, they could do a Zoom meditation
Correct.
on Sundays. I think he's having them. They just beginning.
Right.
So I just read about that. But this also sounds very interesting. So this is in September, and this will retreat in Colorado
Estes
and
Park. Yeah.
Estes Park. That's where we went there, and it was an amazing place.
Right. It is amazing.
That's a great place to do a retreat.
It is. And they fill up quick. So if you're interested, you're going to have to register quick because he's going to announce it. He hasn't announced, he's going to announce it tomorrow. So
Oh,
people who
good.
might be interested in that should
And
put it on their calendar because there's only going to be 30 people maximum.
mhm.
And those are two great teachers and highly recommend it.
It sounds very interesting. And our show will air on the 11th. So this will be out just right after he's made his announcement. So the
Nice.
people that when they hear this, they'll be able to go right to the website and it'll already be listed there.
Okay.
Yeah, so the timing of this is perfect because today's the 5th and this will be out on Wednesday morning.
Perfect.
So this is good.
All
So
right.
is there anything else you wanted to say?
That's it.
Okay, so this is
Meditate
wonderful.
now.
I like that. I like that very much. In fact, you've actually inspired me. So I really appreciate it because we get lost in our everyday stuff and then we forget about the things that actually helped us.
Right.
And I can only say positive things about all my years of having, in and out of meditation. It's like riding a bicycle. You can
Mhm.
go back to it again. It all
You
starts
can.
coming again. It becomes stronger the more you practice.
Correct.
And I want to thank you for sharing that. I want to thank you for writing this wonderful book, The ABCs of Meditation. I think it's a great book, and I found so many different meditations in there. I had to, I was trying some of the meditations as I was reading the book, and then I said, "You will never finish this book. You can't do that right now. You can just pick and choose a few, and then you have to move on."
You can. You can jump around.
Yes. So I want to say that I truly am inspired by everything that I read, and I also am very grateful for some simple explanations of just things that, I've heard the words, but I never had a great explanation that was simple, and I really appreciated that for me.
Great.
So I want to thank you so much for doing that and for being a guest on A Small Medium at Large. And I want to thank all you listeners for joining us here today. I want to thank my son Richard for producing the show and my daughter Nancy for posting the show, and for my husband David for going over the uh, information so that we have commas and correct spelling. He does a wonderful description. When you look at my description, he does a description and it comes out very professional. So I want to thank the three of them for being the support of how my podcast can come out. And uh, we're not a fancy podcast with all kinds of promotional people or any of these things. It's just a little family kind of operation, but I'm always happy with whoever we touch, whether it's one person or 100 people. So I'm just grateful to have this platform to share the wisdom and information and stories from people all over the world. And I'm just grateful to have this happen. And I'm very happy to have you here. So
You have
thank
a
you.
big heart, Gail.
Oh, thank you. So everyone have a wonderful week. Remember to share your stories because stories can heal. Bye.